Oh, hey folks, welcome back. Don't mind me, I'm just attempting to revert back to my childhood by changing the date on my driver's license. Oh, damn it, this isn't my driver's license, this is my Optimum card. This isn't even the first time I've done this. Oh well, I guess I'll have to revert back to my childhood in some other way. I know. I'll socially isolate and watch Nickelodeon cartoons all day. Just like old times. Everybody thinks their childhood cartoons were so f***ing special. Oh, kids these days don't get it, man. Back when I was a kid, we had cool cartoons like Pokemon. Now they only have garbage like Pokemon. To be fair, kids live to consume media. It's all they have. They behave like drug addicts. When I was a kid, everyone I knew, including myself, was going absolutely apeshit, driving their parents totally insane for Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, truly the Minecraft and Fortnite of our time. But among all of that, there was one small man who dominated all other cartoons in popularity in the early 2000s. A cute little unassuming fry cook called Spongebob SquarePants. It's hard to think of another Nickelodeon cartoon that's enjoyed as much success as SpongeBob. Believe it or not, the show's been going on since 1999, and as of now, it's the only cartoon that debuted in the 90s that's still going. And I think that's a testament to just how popular the show really was. It still remained a popular franchise today. Obviously, I can't comment on how much kids like it now because I don't talk to children. But back during my childhood of the early 2000s, I don't even think I can express to you how huge SpongeBob was. Spongebob SquarePants was created by Steven Hillenburg, an animator who worked previously as a marine biology educator. The show debuted on May 1st, 1999 and has been going ever since. With 13 seasons, 2 feature-length big-budget movies, and a huge multimedia franchise, it's undoubtedly Nickelodeon's most popular series of all time. And I think the popularity is a testament to just how quality of a show it is. Now, maybe I'm just an old man, but in my opinion, the show was at its best during the first 3 seasons, and the first movie. The 4th season is pretty good as well. This era of SpongeBob SquarePants is undoubtedly my favorite TV show of all time, and that's not just for nostalgia's sake. The popularity of SpongeBob was owed to its production quality and writing. It's one of those shows that's made for kids, but it also appeals to their parents because it's just so funny. There's jokes in here that I didn't even get until I rewatched the show as an adult. Seriously, if you haven't watched the first 4 seasons of SpongeBob, what are you doing? Go out and watch it, it's great. Like I said, kids consume media like it's food and they're living in some war-torn, post-apocalyptic wasteland. For me as a kid, one of the things that I just couldn't get enough of was SpongeBob. It became my personality. In fact, it's still basically most of my personality to this day. The problem with being that obsessed with something is like, what do you do when you're not watching SpongeBob? You're thinking about it 24/7, so you just need something to satiate your sponge lust when you don't have the TV show to watch. Licensed video games. Games usually made with pretty low budget, zero inspiration, and based on popular media franchises, existing purely to make money off of kids who just couldn't get enough of Madagascar in the movie theater. These aren't usually passion projects like Super Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie. These are games that are usually made by lower-end development teams within big studios to capitalize on the popularity of kids' movies and TV shows. To be fair, they often aren't usually full price, and they're usually at the very least decent games. Not good by any means, but not bad enough to be offended by. More egregious sins have been committed than these games. I would say that this trend has slowed down in recent years. Licensed games still exist, but they're nowhere near the popularity that they were in the early 2000s. Every stupid franchise you could possibly think of had a video game on the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. Like, I'm telling you, Avatar, Shrek, Samurai Jack, A Series of Unfortunate Events, Ratatouille, Scooby-Doo. My girlfriend owns all of these and she's 24 years old. She bought this one like 2 years ago. These games are usually forgotten about. There's always that one person trying to convince you that Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights is unironically a good game, but in general they're lost to the passage of time. But there is one game from my childhood that people just refuse to give up on. A game with a legacy so salient that it's almost remembered as fondly as the franchise for which it's based. And that game, of course, is Ratatouille for GameCube. Can't always trust YouTube titles, baby. No, I'm kidding. It's SpongeBob. Come on. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom was released in 2003 for PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox. There's also versions on the PC and Game Boy Advance, but no one cares, shut up. The game was developed by Heavy Iron Studios and published by THQ. Heavy Iron Studios is known for making other shitty licensed games, although I suppose they got the last laugh since they still exist and THQ went bankrupt and was bought out by Nordic Games. 2003 was the absolute height of the Spongebob craze, and I think it's fair to say that this game was developed pretty much exclusively to capitalize on the hype. And it worked out. The game got mixed reviews, but it was hugely successful in terms of sales. Games like this always have people who go nuts for them because they played them as a kid, but I don't think there's any game from this time period that had this big of a following. I remember as a kid, everyone had this game, and everybody talked about it all the time. It was as big as Pokemon and Smash Bros, if you can believe it. So now that I'm an adult and I can evaluate quality from a more educated perspective, is this actually a good game? Well, no, but it's SpongeBob, so yeah. The game opens with Tom Kenny's classic, potentially offensive French-accented narrator taking us through scary 3D Bikini Bottom, eventually ending up at the Chum Bucket. Inside, Plankton is putting the finishing touches on his evil robot machine. Unfortunately, he forgot to set the obey/not obey switch to obey, so the robots go Roguebot and kick his ass out. We then cut to SpongeBob and Patrick playing with robot toys. Patrick says that he has a
magic conch shell
that can make wishes come true, so they wish for real robots to play with, leading them to believe that they're responsible for the robots taking over the city. After that, we get control of SpongeBob inside his house, which sort of acts as a tutorial area, and after that, you're off to explore Bikini Bottom. It's a pretty standard 3D platformer collectathon. Most of the games of this style from this era were like this. If I had to compare it to a more well-known game, I'd say it's in the style of Spyro the Dragon. The main map is Bikini Bottom, and it's sectioned into 3 areas, each with 3 levels and a boss at the end. One of the things that I would say this game does best is that it seems like the people who made it were at least a little bit familiar with the show. All the areas are recurring locations within the cartoon and/or references to specific episodes. You get to play as 3 different characters: SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy. Unfortunately, each level only lets you play as SpongeBob and one other character, and for the most part, each level is pretty much built around playing as SpongeBob and very occasionally switching over to Patrick or Sandy. I get that he's the star of the show, but I don't understand why they would even bother putting in other playable characters if they barely have any use, especially in the later stages of the game. Each character has a standard short-range attack and a double jump. SpongeBob has a few special abilities involving bubbles. He has this helmet attack that goes directly above him and this ground pound move. He also learns new abilities after beating the bosses. After the first boss, he gets this bowling move, and after the second boss, he gets this torpedo move, which is a nightmare to control. Patrick also has a ground pound, but it's a little bit more effective than SpongeBob's, and he's also unique in that he can pick up items and throw them. Sandy is a little bit more unique than Patrick. She can glide with her lasso, she has a ranged attack, and she can use her lasso as sort of like a grappling hook to get across gaps, which is pretty fun. In general, the controls are fine, but they have some weird stuff going on. The camera sucks. You can turn it left and right, but you basically have no control up and down. If you press up or down on the right stick, it just kind of swings the camera above or below the character, which, like, why would you want to do this? Another little pet peeve of mine is 3D platformers that don't let you swing the camera behind the character with a button press. Like, honestly, if your entire game is just a ripoff of better games, at least steal some of the good design aspects, come on. I actually read the manual, and it gave me a very vague tip that if you press the right stick in, it will, quote, change the camera view, which made me think I was wrong about swinging the camera behind the character. So I hooked up my PS2 to test it out, and each level has 8 golden spatulas, which sort of serve as the game's equivalent to stars in Mario 64 or eggs in Spyro Year of the Dragon. Each level is inaccessible until you get a certain amount of spatulas. You can also collect Patrick's lost socks, 80 of which are distributed throughout the game. If you bring 10 of them to Patrick, he'll give you a golden spatula. There's also Mr. Krabs.
No money means no more Krusty Krab. No more Krusty Krab means no more fry cooking for you.
This is not the Crab I know. That ain't Clancy Brown. Anyway, if you give this false Mr. Krabs enough shiny objects, the brilliantly named collectibles, which are basically like coins, he'll give you a golden spatula. Shiny objects? Are you serious? Is that really the best you guys could have come up with? Anyway, the first segment of levels are Jellyfish Fields, Downtown Bikini Bottom, and Goo Lagoon. And the first boss is a giant robot version of Sandy, which you fight in the Poseidome, a giant boxing ring, which is a reference to the Season 1 episode Neptune's Spatula, where SpongeBob is challenged to a cook-off against King Neptune. The next trio of levels are Rock Bottom, the Mermalair, and Sand Mountain. If you talk to Mermaid Man,
a bunch of evil robots have taken over the Mermalair security system.
Oh my god, like look, Mr. Krabs is bad, but what is this Mermaid Man voice? He sounds like you just went outside and found a random old dude on the street. I think it's important to point out here that the characters they don't stop talking. Like while you're playing the game, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy are constantly just making stupid quips.
Another pint for Patrick. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready.
Buzz push button.
Fresh like a spring breeze.
Like, SpongeBob, buddy, I love you, but just shut up sometimes. Like, the voice lines are so frequent that sometimes the game loads like a backlog of quips. I guess it would be better than them talking over themselves or interrupting themselves, but like, if Patrick is in the middle of a line and he gets hurt, he finishes the line and then says ouch like 10 seconds later, and it's so weird. Anyway, the next boss is a giant robot Patrick, who you fight in a toxic waste dump. The final segment of levels are the Flying Dutchman's Graveyard, the Kelp Forest, and SpongeBob's Dream. The last of which is a reference to the Season 1 episode where SpongeBob invades his friend's dreams. The final boss takes place inside the Chum Bucket and is a giant robot SpongeBob, which you fight in 2 phases, and then you're done. So that's SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. Obviously I have a special place in my heart for this game since I grew up with it. It's nothing mind-blowing, but overall I'd say it's a decent game. But the video's not over. Believe it or not, there's somehow more to say about SpongeBob f***ing SquarePants on PS2. That's right, buckle in kids, because you haven't just clicked on a normal video. This is the first episode of a series I'm calling Did They Wang It?, where I look at a game and a remake and compare them to see what's different, or what's better or worse or whatever. On July 23rd, 2020, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated was released, developed by Purple Lamp Studios and published by THQ Nordic. I don't know where the game case is. So what's the difference between Rehydrated and the original? Well, for starters, it seems as though SpongeBob has been convicted of some sort of war crime because he's suspiciously absent of his helmet in the cover of the new game. But for real, this is obviously more of an HD remaster than a ground-up remake, which seems obvious. I don't think anyone was expecting a Resident Evil 2 style remake of SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, and if you were, I'm sorry in advance for all the disappointment life is going to hand you from here on. In my opinion, for this to be a successful remake, all they really needed to do was make it play a little better, make it look better, record some new voice lines so that Mr. Krabs and Mermaid Man don't sound like my dad doing an impression of what I imagine Johnny Carson sounds like, and maybe record some new songs or fix the music. So how much of that is in this remake? Well, sometimes the NPCs dab. Okay, I like to give credit where credit is due. To be fair, they fixed some control issues and the camera actually works properly. Although still no button to snap the camera behind you, like, come on guys, we've had 24 years to figure this out. Sandy also swings on the hooks faster and her flying ability works better. In the original game, you had to press jump twice to do a double jump and then press jump again to make her start gliding. But in the remake, if you hold the button on the second jump, she just starts gliding, which is a lot more intuitive. But other than that, I mean, the game is full of memes, I guess. Okay, look, I love being a stick in the mud, but I actually kind of like this. Adding memes to things usually makes it age like milk, but these are inoffensive little Easter eggs, and if anything, they come off more as appreciation for the fanbase. Other than that, though, yeah, they didn't fix much. Obviously, the graphics are better, everything is bright and colorful, and the character models look way better and more full of life than in the original. Also, the environments are beautiful comparatively. But this game feels a lot glitchier than the original. I noticed a lot of weird bugs playing through it. Nothing necessarily game-breaking, but still. I have no evidence, but there used to be a glitch in this part of Goo Lagoon where the screen would just turn black for no reason until I walked away from that spot. I couldn't get it to do it while I was recording, but just trust me. There's also a lot of blurry textures that just don't load in properly. They honestly looked better in the original. I thought maybe it's because I'm playing this game on the Switch, so I looked it up and yeah, that's exactly why. Anyway, music and voices. This game has no new sound. The music and the voice lines are ripped straight from the original game. This was kind of a disappointment for me, especially with the music. The original music isn't looped properly, so every few minutes the track just stops and there's the second of silence before the song restarts, and it sounds bad, folks. Plus, like, they couldn't even be f***ed in the original to make enough tracks to accommodate the levels. Sand Mountain uses the same music as Bikini Bottom, and SpongeBob's Dream uses the annoying minigame music, which is especially annoying when it's played through the whole level. Like, honestly, would it really have been that hard to fix the music so it looped properly and maybe compose a couple new tracks for the other levels? Maybe I'm an idiot, but I thought for some reason this game would have new voice acting, so I mean, it's kind of disappointing to hear the same lines recycled. And yes, this means that we're still stuck with imposter Krabs and Mermaid Man. Actually, you know, considering how crazy they went filling the backgrounds with memes, maybe it's a good thing they didn't record new voice lines. And that, my friends, is SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, original versus Rehydrated. So did they wang it? I don't know. I'm not even 100% sure what wanged means, to be honest. But for real, I think it's important to take into consideration that this game didn't release at full price, so you can't really expect it to be a masterpiece of a remake. Also, the game was developed in Austria, so I mean, that might have something to do with the whole voice acting thing. It's pretty far from America. That said, however, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy came out and it wasn't full price, and that was 3 whole games remade from the ground up with amazing graphics, new voice acting, new music. So, yeah, alright, they wanged it. Are you happy? The game hath been wanged. Get out of here. Video's over.